I'll let you know when I see it. You'll see it too. All right. Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters.
Wa
We are
alaikum
back.
salam.
Ahmadiyya Fact Check blog, and my brother, a man who I really respect, admire. He's also a teacher like me. He teaches something way more difficult, which is math. You know, and it's. I mean, I guess to a math major it's easy, but to the rest of the world it's not so
I'm
easy.
actually a computer science major, I think they call it. But yeah,
Okay,
I
okay.
just
But if
anyway,
you
it doesn't matter. But I teach maths. Sorry, unnecessary details. Carry on.
No, it's totally okay. And if you're a student and you're looking to learn, yes, you can have a degree in computer science and qualify as a math teacher, even in America. I'm not sure in
Oh
the
right,
UK,
okay,
but in America, all you need is basically any bachelor's degree, and then they'll go through like if you have an MBA, they'll ask you to teach math and etc. because there's math covered in that. But
cool.
anyhow, ladies and gentlemen, we are here to talk about Hazrat Maryam, alayhi salam. Some people use alayhi salam after her name, some don't. A lot of respect. And I'm going to give the floor to Brother Khalid. He's going to explain the Ahmadi position. So here we go, Brother Khalid, over to you.
Well, thank you. Assalamu alaikum. Appreciate you giving me the time to essentially preach Ahmadiyyat Islam, which is just Islam. It's just good to get the word out, and I appreciate it. And it's really what I'm looking forward to here. First of all, I want to be really efficient. So I'm just going to read through a document of some of the claims, some of the arguments you made and responses to them. I think there were just 9. But also, I think we were just saying before the stream started, we want to open up we want to advertise the fact that we're going to do a whole series together talking about all these issues. We're talking about one miracle at a time. I want to do loads of miracles at a time, but I think you wisely said just keep it to one. I get too greedy sometimes. So we're just going to do a whole bunch of live streams, probably every week, it looks like. And also, we're going to do all sorts of contentious issues that you might, maybe people will be surprised that I'll be talking about, like censorship amongst Ahmadi Muslims and things like that, and all the different things that. So we're going to be switching between different ideas. Some even Ahmadi Muslims might be shocked by the things I might be talking about, but I'm like I don't want to say like the BBC. BBC is a bad example of a news reporting people, but like you should be open to be able to talk about anything, and that's all I'm up for. So anyway, so can I share? My document I'm just going to basically read through so we can be super efficient about it. So I think this is it.
Sure, yeah.
Okay,
If you have a share screen. Oh, yep, there it is. Okay.
cool. I wonder if, tell me if it's big enough. Like I'm going to keep zooming in until it's nice and big. Is that
Well,
readable?
brother, I'm not a good judge of that because I got to wear reading glasses anyways.
Okay, I'll just make it massive anyway. This is fairly massive. I'm just going to, how does that look?
It looks
That
good.
looks all right. Looks all right. Okay, just whizzing through this, right? So was Mary a hermaphrodite? So God can do anything, but why would anyone insist that he could not plan it? Isn't Allah the best of planners? So I've got lots of references. Some people who don't know, Ahmadi Muslims consider the Quran a perfect book, and therefore the verse Bismillah in the head of every chapter is actually one of the verses. So, but a lot of Sunni Muslims don't consider Bismillah, so their numbers would be slightly different. Just take away one, or I will be posting, I've already posted this link in the live chat to this document, so you can just click on this and it will just go to, you know, the verse of the Quran. So if you want to check it out for yourself. Anyway, so that's one argument. Why not? Why can't of Allah planned it by creating a law of nature in advance that would take care of the situation? Anyway, as Ahmadi Muslims, no, Ahmadi Muslims consider miracles to be natural occurrences within the laws of nature created by God. At the time of the miracle, those laws are not well understood, so cannot be explained. For example, it could be thousands of years ago, humans would have considered the lifting of objects through magnetism a miracle, but now we understand it would no longer be seen as a miracle. Okay, Ahmadi Muslims believe it is a possibility that Mary, peace be upon him, was a hermaphrodite. So these are all theories. We don't know anything for sure. I think you correctly I think we were having, I don't know, I wasn't being very careful in a WhatsApp conversation, and he made a web page and then sent it to Abdur. I keep forgetting how to say his name. Anyway, Imam,
Let
whatever.
me try. Let me try, cause I've been practicing. A dubafu.
Yeah, because I have like these other names in my mind, so I'm using those by default. So I have to check, right? But anyway, I've been talking to him because you introduced us. You gave each other's phone number. We've been talking about it. But anyway, so I said he is, because I was being, I don't know, I wasn't being very careful. Sorry, she is a hermaphrodite, but I wasn't there. Nobody was there. There's no Quranic verses that says for sure that she was X, Y, or Z, whatever she was. Okay, this is just a theory. So, and then that was kind of, that's what the Imam made me realize or notified me of. But I'm going to make that point later on in a second. So Ahmadi Muslims believe it is a possibility that Mary, peace be upon him, was a hermaphrodite. Are there examples of human hermaphrodites? You know what? I should have shared screen, not just tab. Let me stop sharing 1 second, and I should have shared screen. As we get better at this, I'll be more efficient. Hey, maybe I should go for window. Let's go for window. Let's see how that works out. No, I'm just going for a screen. It's much more simple. Click. Okay. So I like Google Bard. Have you heard of Google Bard, Bashir?
No, actually, I haven't.
Yeah. Have you heard of ChatGPT?
Of course, of course.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm a teacher, and my students keep telling me about all the latest technology. So Google Bard is Google's version of ChatGPT. The reason I like Google Bard is that you can save links to its results and you can share it with people. So that's what I'm going to do here. So are there examples of human hermaphrodites? I'm very lazy when I'm asking Google Bard stuff. I don't put question marks and capital letters and things. And it says, yes, there are examples of human hermaphrodites. So what is Google Bard doing? It's just searching through the internet. It's Googling things and collecting the answers anyway, just like ChatGPT sort of does. Yes, there are examples of human hermaphrodites, hermaphroditism, whatever, is a condition in which a person is born with both male and female sex characteristics. This can include genitals, internal reproductive organs, and or chromosomes. There are many different types of hermaphroditism, and it can be caused by a variety of factors, including genetics, hormones, and environmental exposures. Some people with hermaphroditism are able to live relatively normal lives. According to Intersex Society in North America, estimate to 1 in 2,000 babies are born with some form of intersex trait. This means that hermaphroditism is more common than many people realize. And then there's examples of people, and they need to read all of it. Okay, so whoops. Keep going. So this is a verse of the Quran. I remember you saying something, but you didn't actually. I think you said on a different stream something like, God said it happened, therefore it happened. We don't need to give an explanation. Is that kind of right? Like you're referring to this particular verse? He replied, thus it is, but this is referring to the birth of Hazrat Jesus alayhi salam. So he replied, thus it is, but says thy Lord, it is easy for me, and we shall do so that it may make him a sign unto him, a mercy from us, and it is a thing decreed. And so I put a link from this 5-volume commentary where it talks about the virgin birth, which is basically what I'm going to repeat today anyway. It's kind of spread over 2 verses, but in the second one is where the detailed explanation is given. So I'll quickly link to it, click it, and then you'll see on the verse that follows the birth of Jesus, and she conceived him and withdrew with him to a remote place. And then you can click here if you've clicked on English 5-volume commentary before. So I'm just explaining for people who want to know how to use that. Does the phrase "thus it is," I think you were suggesting, suggest that Allah created Jesus supernaturally outside the laws of nature? Allah also says, "Be to the universe," and it was Uh, and it was, as in the universe became, just because Allah said so. Does that make the universe unnatural? I would say the universe is certainly following the laws of nature, so it doesn't have to be unnatural just because Allah decrees a thing. I'm almost done, just so people know. I think it goes to 10. No, it goes to 9. Can hermaphrodites have male children? Because this is the comment you just made earlier on today in the WhatsApp. Can hermaphrodites have male children when reproducing asexually? And then Google Bard is an experimental thing, and it doesn't seem to give answers to everything. So I went back to ChatGPT. It's my fast way of getting results rather than doing Google searches, which is a bit slow. Anyway, so there's my question. And the answer is hermaphrodites are organisms that are both male and female reproductive organ or structures within a single individual. They can reproduce in a variety of ways, including sexually and asexually. However, whether a hermaphrodite can have male offspring when reproducing asexually depends on the specific reproductive mechanisms and biology of the organism in question. So it's a possibility. Okay, number 7, when Christians say something is a mystery, such as the Trinity, they're saying that it cannot be explained. This causes people to disbelieve in it. If Muslims say the same thing, but instead use a different word, miracle, for things they cannot explain, we are no better than Christians in this regard. By showing that an event can happen, gives it validation. So if you can explain it scientifically, it gives it further validation. If you are happy to believe without proof, that is your choice, but it makes you no better than Christians in this regard. And I'm putting things in order. So this thing about what Imam Abdur Bafur said on a YouTube video with you, and he referred to this book, and you referred to, I'm not sure, I think, Christianity, A Journey from Fact to Fiction, which is a book written by the 4th Khalifa of the Promised Messiah, peace be upon him, basically 4th Khalifa in the Ahmadi Muslim community, says that basically in that video, everybody is agreeing that there can be natural explanations to the virgin birth of Jesus through something like hermaphrodites. He is correct that we do not know for sure that Mary was a hermaphrodite. It is a theory. If he agrees or not that she was actually a hermaphrodite is not the topic. The topic is it a possibility? And finally, God creates things in many ways. Let's improve that. Given that it is known that God creates hermaphrodite humans, what is your problem, Bashir? That when Allah creates, or Allah chooses to create anyone, possibly Mary, in that way. So thank you very much, Bashir, for listening to all of that. I'll stop sharing the screen, or because it seems to go infinite screen. Let me share. Yeah, that's cool. Thank you. So appreciate you listening to all of that. Where do we go from here? Oh, and did we mention that at the end of the day, at the end of the stream, we would like to open it up to live comments, as I said that already. So anybody at the end of our to and fro, when we talked about all of this stuff, open to any questions, really. Yeah, anyway, go for it.
Sounds good. And brother, I think you've been clear. The the Ahmadiyya position on miracles is that it was done through some natural processes. This is the Ahmadiyya position. And you're also correct. Mirza Tahir Ahmad and other Ahmadis have said it's a possibility, which we go further because the average Ahmadi won't see it as a possibility. The average Ahmadi will believe it as a reality.
Well, I don't want to talk on behalf of all Ahmadis. Do you know what I mean? Just like that's the position generally. Whatever the Khalifa says, that's the position. Whatever random individuals might say, it's up to them. But maybe you're right that it's worth discussing it, like I made the mistake of saying it was a definite thing because I wasn't really thinking too much about it. So maybe it's a good point in some ways that people might just say that without being too careful. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I was trying to say to the Maulvi Saab is hey, okay, he was asking, is it literally written in literal form, as if the English language only takes literal form? There's other ways to say things, right?
Yeah.
And they don't know English very well either, you know. So anyhow, and I wouldn't expect them to know English the level that we know. I mean, we grew up around it, so we can read it and
Yeah, I
understand it
don't
properly.
know. I mean, their spoken English is pretty good, but there was a mistake about when you talk about cutting off. I think there was a misunderstanding of what cut off was, because he was like, you were saying you're cutting me off, and he says, and I think Suleiman was saying, I can hear you. We're not cutting you off, and there was a misunderstanding of what cutting off meant. That was quite funny.
Yeah, and
And
so
he kept on interrupting you, cutting you off. Sorry, I'm doing it to you now.
no,
Sorry,
no,
go
it's
on,
okay.
carry on,
It's
carry
totally,
on.
so, but you see, look, I try
Yeah,
to tell
yeah.
people that there's a cross cultural differences in dialogue.
Yes.
And I've
Yeah.
tried to explain this to all these people. If you study the world, even in Jordan, people talk a different way. There's a
Very differently.
lingo, there's a respect
Yeah.
that we
Yeah.
don't really know from. You know, if you go to someone's house, you have to eat whatever they give you, period, or it's
Yeah.
disrespectful.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, so okay, yeah, you explained, and can I say it's the Qadiani-Ahmadi version because
Okay, whatever. I don't mind. I don't mind.
the Lahori-Ahmadis have a totally different belief, right?
Oh, I'm not too concerned about, like, for me the real that I like to really focus on what the topic is. The topic is it a possibility that Mary could be a hermaphrodite? Like, who says it or whatever. This is kind of like, these are side issues. Like, is it a possibility? That's the main issue. Like, you can't have too many issues at the same time that we discuss.
Yeah, so in Islam, we don't do that. We don't try to explain the miracles in a scientific way. From the snake of Moses, alayhi salam, to the birth of Isa, alayhi salam, we just say kun fayakun, Allah did it. We don't go into details. We see the possibility of hermaphrodism as a kufri statement, and I think you know that. I think I've explained all
Sure.
of it.
So, I mean, I asked the question, why is it impossible that God could not plan it? So, I mean, you heard what I said, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because you said this to me earlier on. That's why I asked the question. So, what would be your response that since Allah is the best of planners, why could not Allah planned it to be within nature? What's the big issue?
Because that's the whole thing. If it's a miracle, it cannot be within nature.
Okay,
That's
so
the whole
that's your definition of a miracle that is outside nature. So, where do you get this idea from?
from the Quran and the
Oh,
tafsir.
really? Go
Yeah,
on. Can you give me a more reference? I mean, listen. Let's make it. We're learning from each other, right? So, like, tell me which verse of the Quran says that a miracle is not within the laws of nature.
well, that's more of like a common sense thing. I mean,
I mean, I don't
again,
believe in common sense. I believe
yeah,
in just facts. So, give me the facts.
yeah. So, no Muslim has ever. I mean, and honestly, I didn't prepare to show you all
That's
that.
fine.
So maybe
So, I
on the
mean,
part
I
two.
don't know everything. So maybe somebody in the live chat could give a reference that proves this, or even on a non-live chat, because people, we, I think we should be open to the idea of let's research after this. So let's research. That's an important question. Where in the Quran? Because we should respect the Quran, and that's for Muslims. That's our main source. So we should, number one, look for from the Quran what's the evidence. So I could be wrong, you could be wrong. Who knows? Let's find out. If anybody can find out for us, even after this stream, what's the evidence that a miracle is not based on the laws of nature?
Laws of nature. That is a
Yeah.
good question. I
Yeah.
just wrote that down. Actually, write it down. I'll make a note of it. And part
Yeah.
two will cover that. Or if someone comes in,
Cool. Yeah, and we're going to be talking about lots of miracles. So yeah, there'll be overlap. We'll be talking about the splitting of the moon, everything, all the different, even biblical, like the splitting of the so-called Red Sea, but it wasn't the Red Sea. But I won't go into that yet. But yeah.
yeah, and just very briefly, Allah says He created humans and jinn, and He created the animals separately. The animals are separate, the humans are separate. And again, we don't believe in evolution. Mirza Tahir Ahmad even said that some of the first few women in Africa, or he said different places Africa, but he said some of the first few women were asexual and they reproduce women only. He said that in a video.
Okay, it's
Obviously, I don't want to play
possible.
the video because of
Yeah.
copyright issues.
Oh,
But
really? You can. I thought you can, but anyway,
Well, I just don't want to even risk it.
you're
You
extra
know?
careful. Yeah,
Yeah, just to
yeah,
be extra careful. You can see all the links. It's in my
yeah.
article on the topic. But so it's a deeper article. It's an issue of not just Maryam. It's an issue of how we started on this planet. You know,
Hmm.
we believe that Adam alayhis salam was the first man, and he
Hmm.
was made in Jannah, not even in this universe. He was made in an
Sure. So
entirely
then we've
different realm.
got a whole bunch of topics like was
So, well,
Adam the first man? Because Ahmadi Muslims don't believe that. Do we believe in evolution? Ahmadi Muslims believe in evolution, but a God guided evolution. So there's all these different topics. But anyway, stick on Mary.
yeah,
Any
well,
other points?
yeah, and I was just briefly saying that. So of course I focus on the writings of Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, and I'm just going to show you some references here. Can you see that?
Um, it's small. Can you zoom in? You can just press zoom in. You can zoom in,
Uh,
right? Are you using what are you using? Chrome?
yeah,
Just press,
Chrome.
just close Control and then scroll, and it'll zoom in. It'll just make the text bigger.
Okay.
Yeah,
So boom, here we go. Here's the essay that I wrote. It's all
cool.
referenced.
Yeah.
So okay, in 1886, 1888, and I'm still working on verifying this and contextualizing this. He wrote, uh, taking a man who had a father. He's talking about Jesus alayhi salam. In Izala Oham, he says father with Joseph. A very confusing statement. I would have said stepfather, or I would have just said Joseph.
Okay.
Because but he
How do
said
you get like? Do you read Urdu by any chance or what?
yeah, I can read slowly, and then I have a whole team.
Okay.
But look, in these cases, look, here's the scan. So, brother,
Yeah.
I'm open to someone to
Sure.
contextualize and
Yeah,
say,
yeah,
hey,
yeah.
you made a
I
mistake
don't
here.
read Urdu, so that's why I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, no worries. So then, look in Hamamatul Bushra, page 90, he says they without he's talking about the Christians. So his first response to the virgin birth was against the Christians, but that argument is also against Islam, is my contention, right? So okay, then here's a book in English. Were you able to review this quote here that in his debate with Abdullah Atom?
So what's the question? Do you believe the birth of Jesus without father? Um, okay. Hazrat Adam was born without a father, mother. Now rainy season is near. Okay, so what's the question? I don't see what the question is. So what should I
Oh well,
say about it?
it's in this debate. Mirza Ghulam Ahmad was saying, "Hey, look, insects get born of themselves." I don't. He's refuting the virgin birth against Abdullah Atom, but Muslims actually agree on this with the Christians that it was a miraculous birth with no explanation, and he knows that. So he says, in the rainy season, many insects get born of themselves.
Okay, so we're going back to the same thing that you said you're going to check up. Like, does the Quran actually say, because we're making a huge assumption here that a miracle is not based on age. So, I mean, I did explain that some things at different ages look more amazing, like the magnets. I talked to this is, and purposely trying not to say ideas of my own. This is a standard example that the fourth Khalifa explained Hazrat Mirza Tahir Ahmad in videos. This from the 5-volume commentary. I've seen it there as well. That look, at sometimes things look miraculous, right? In a sense that okay, two magnets without anything in between them attract each other, you can lift something else for invisible force. We don't know what it is. Okay, but later on we understand magnetism and it no longer looks miraculous. So a miracle is just something that happened at a point in time when we didn't know that particular law in nature. What's the big deal, right?
Yeah,
Why
and
are we
that's what Mirza
making an
Ghulam Ahmad is
assumption?
saying. Yeah,
Yeah, sure. So I agree. Why not? What's the
yeah, he's
problem? I
saying the
don't.
exact same thing. So what
Yeah,
you're saying, Mirza Ghulam Ahmad is exactly saying in a different.
yeah.
He's just saying, hey, it happened in some natural way. So all of this goes back to Mirza Ghulam Ahmad saying that it happened in some natural way. It did not happen the way Muslims and Christians believe it to happen. Would you agree?
Yeah, I agree. That's what I said. And I've also said I might as well repeat, I suppose, because we're kind of repeating things, but I suppose it's worth repeating, right? So I talked about like how there's so many reasons why we should look for reasons. Otherwise, one thing is that we don't want to be like the Christians who believe in things without evidence. Like, why do Christians believe in the Trinity? They can't explain it. What do they call it if they can't explain it? A mystery, right? This is famous, right? So we don't want to put ourselves in the same position, and we just use a different M word. We say miracle instead for things we can't explain, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So it's better to have an explanation than no explanation. It's better to make an effort than no effort at all. Okay, and it's not a bad thing to be
Yeah,
able to explain
and
things.
that's the Amni position, no doubt
Yeah,
about it.
but I mean, what's wrong with explaining things? Is there something wrong? Because you can't use the idea, because you haven't given the evidence yet from the Quran, that miracles are outside the laws of nature. So what's the reason you would give now, since you cannot use that miracles are outside the laws of nature? What's the problem with explaining it? What's the problem? It's not a
Yeah,
bad thing.
because it makes it less than a miracle if you can explain it. If I could say, hey, it's about to rain, and then well, it's cloudy and it hasn't rained in 30 days, and it just rained. So we'll
No,
get to that
but
in
do you
part two.
understand a miracle is relative to that time? So the magnet example, it looks like a miracle because at that time you don't understand it, but later in time, at some point in time we can understand it, we can explain it.
Yeah, but
What's the big
that would
deal?
make someone like a magician or a trickster. You see what I mean? So anyhow, we're gonna do that
No,
in
but
part
I
two.
think that's a good point. Let's respond to that. So the people, let's say, Prophet Muhammad says, I'm trying not to refer to any other. Okay, let's say for example the splitting of the moon. He says the moon's going to split. It happens, but it's not Prophet Muhammad who's doing these things. It's not him that's doing it. Allah is doing it, right? It's always Allah who's doing the miracles, right? So he's just following the lead or the instruction of Allah, right? And Allah knows the laws of the universe better than anybody else. So it's not that these prophets are tricksters. They're just following what Allah tells them to do. They're not the magicians. Allah is, let's say. So should we respond to? I personally like to interact with the live chat because I respect people taking their time to make comments. I mean, I feel like we're repeating the same thing between ourselves. Shall we? So, oh, good, thank you. So, an extraordinary and welcome event that is not explicable by nature or scientific laws and is therefore attributed to divination, the miracle of rising from the grave. So, so he's using a definition of a miracle, isn't it? Is that what he's doing, basically? Is the thing you've just put on the screen? Or do you just click on random ones and then we want to let's click on something and then respond to both of
Let's
us
wait
respond.
because
What do you think?
I wasn't exactly done. Let me go back to and then we'll come back to all that. So
Oh, okay. Sorry. Carry on.
yeah. So okay,
You want to
then
show something else?
so once again, I'm an expert in the writings of Mirza Ghulam, right? So okay, he says here that Maryam she used to meet Yusuf before they got married. Astagfarullah. But so that's strange that he said that in this book. Feel free to look up the context. Then in the Al-Hakam 1901, he says our faith and belief is that Jesus was born of no father and Allah has the power to do all things. The rationalist called the Naturies. Do you know who this is?
The rationalist called Naturies. I don't know who they are.
Sir Sayyid Ahmad
Is
Khan.
that the name of the
Oligarch.
person? Naturies. It sounds like it's a category of philosopher or something.
No, he's taking the English word a naturalist and making it an Urdu word, Naturies.
Who knows? I'm not an expert, so I'm not going to agree or disagree because I haven't read the original source. But anyway,
yeah,
carry
but
on.
he's referring to Sir Sayyid Ahmad Khan, an oligarch. Remember, he was saying that in the same era. In fact, I'm going to come to that. So he said what? That he was born of a human father. So okay, so then.
So this is the Promised Messiah is saying this.
You know what? Actually, I don't have the scan, and I don't have, but I have to assume either that or a scholar of the Jamaat. So again, there's more work that needs to be done on this, right?
Okay.
But it says here, anyone who believes that Isa alayhi salam had a biological father, it's a dead, it's not cool. Basically, is what he's saying. So okay, 1902. I found it again. Look, the naturalists were. This is who he's referring to. They talk about it again. Look, and you see the
Okay,
spelling
so let me
on
read
naturally.
this. In the English Review, ROR, I'm guessing is Review of Religions, April 1902, and pages whatever. It is discussed how some new sects of Muslims called Naturi, which is probably naturalist, in English as naturalist, they were referring to the followers of Sir Syed Ahmad Khan, whoever that is, at the Algar University, who were all Quranists and also deny the physical return of Isa, as well as the fatherless birth or as early as 1880. It is strange that RRO refers to them as such. I don't know. What's the claim? I'm not sure what the claim is here. What's the point you're making?
Oh, just so again, this is an academic essay with all the references, so someone can go and double check if they need
Sure.
to. All the references in one place. There's also a
But what's
malfuzat.
the point you are making by giving that reference? I'm not sure. I don't
Oh, I'm
understand.
I'm I'm just laying out all the quotes so anyone can go for themselves, and figure this all out. So
Was
again,
it
look,
that you're suggesting that maybe he was copying? Because I remember hearing
exactly.
that, but I couldn't. So that's what you were suggesting. Okay, um, so as far as I understand, you're saying that some people also said the same thing.
Yeah, in British India, where Mirza Ghulam Ahmad lived, Sir Syed Ahmad Khan and the Naturies, they came up with, hey, let's take this out of the miracle category and let's figure out a natural way to explain it.
Okay, sure. So it could be two people agree, doesn't make it more true or less true. So the point I'm trying to focus on is, first of all, I can't verify any of these sources, but the thing I think is very important to focus on one particular thing. And the one particular thing is it possible that a miracle, especially focusing on the virgin birth, right, can be within the law of nature. So if one person says it, and if two people say it, doesn't make it less true. If one person supposedly learns from another person, goes, okay, that makes sense or something, whatever it doesn't make it more true or less true. It's still true either way. If I believe in an atom, you believe in an atom, it's still true. Oh, it's definitely true, and I'm quite sure it is. you know. Okay, cool. Anything else?
Yeah, so as we keep going, there's some other references that I might not have got the scans for this one. It's an Arabic book that also got some Urdu underneath. So here's another reference. And then in Tazkirat al-Shahadatain, which is in English, uh, he said he was born with a twin, just like Adam. He's also claiming Adam was born as a twin. So, it's all related, but we're not focusing on that. So here's the
Okay,
book.
yeah.
I'd ask you to take a look at this quote. What do you think about Noorudin having he held the opinion of the Naturies up to 1904? So what's your opinion on that? And
Okay,
it seems,
so he had
like
the
the Lahori-Ahmadi
opinion.
took it from him. Yeah.
So the opinion of the Naturies is what? That Mary could be hermaphrodite.
No, no. The Naturies said that Joseph was the biological father of Isa. Astagfarullah.
Oh, so Azim Mirza Nuruddin could have had an opinion at some point and changed his opinion, possibly. Did he change
He
his opinion?
yeah. Oh well,
Okay, I mean,
while
it
Mirza,
happens, right?
the Lahori-Ahmadi say he changed it, but then he went back to it when he became Khalifa. And that's a very there is some evidence that that could be true. But as you can see, remember he moved to Qadian 15 years before, or I think he moved there 10 years before, or like 11
Hmm.
years. So for 11 years, so he met Mirza Ghulam Ahmad 20 years ago, and he's had
Hmm.
this difference or alleged difference. I'm saying they both believed that he had a father until 1893, and then Mirza Ghulam Ahmad might have changed. Maybe
Hmm.
we're not exactly sure because all
Yeah,
that
sure.
information
You
hasn't
know
come out.
what? You just remind me of something. So, like, whenever I do most of my live streams are with Westerners, and I tell them, here are Islamic ideas that are going to change your life, right? And I always like to explain, why am I talking about this? So, for example, why are we talking about this in the first place? Like, is this just academic, or is there a point to it? And the point to it is, I want to encourage people to think logically and deeply about the Quran. We shouldn't just make assumptions or just copy other people. We say, what does the Quran actually say? And so we think more deeply about the Quran. That's what I'm encouraging here. And I like, and I encourage rational thought. And I don't like the other people to. I don't like the idea that people just say this is a miracle. You're not allowed to think about it. Okay, it's beyond rationality. That's a dangerous thing when we start saying it's beyond rationality. You know, just like that's where the Christians have ended up.
Yeah, no worries. So here's another quote that talks about the topic. There's probably more, but this is just what I found. Look, Mirza Ghulam even said being born without a father deprives a person of certain faculties. We don't know what he's exactly
So, oh
talking
yeah,
about.
sorry. So just to clarify, when you made that comment, it's like irrelevant to me. These details seem to be irrelevant to me. Like if somebody changes their mind, or they go back and forth and they decide. Like the key thing is like, what is the idea? And I really like to focus on the Quran because I can't check up every reference, especially if it's in Urdu and all these kind of things. And it kind of doesn't matter if people change their minds. It's like, what is the most rational idea? Whoever said it. Let's say, what was that naturalist called?
Sir
Sir
Sayyid
Richard.
Ahmad.
No, I'm just talking about the wildlife guy, Richard Attenborough. No,
Oh,
that's his brother. But anyway, there's two
from
brothers, and I
Australia.
always
From
mix them
Australia.
up. No, there's one British guy. Oh yeah, maybe one from Australia. I don't know. But anyway, these people, these wildlife people, and the wildlife person said, there are hermaphrodites, whatever. And then we check if it's true or not. That's what I'm interested in. Is it true? Is it a possibility? Whoever says it doesn't really matter. That's the key thing, right? And then the secondary thing is who said it? Is it true? Like if somebody says something amazing, this is like what the whole point of Nobel Prize is. Like, first of all, you come up with an idea, you check if it's true or not. Like, does the atom exist? And then if it does exist, and you go, right, who said this? Who said this amazing thing? Is there somebody uniquely says it? Right? That becomes interesting once we agree that it's a possibility. So yeah. Anyway,
Sounds good. Let me get through this. I can get through it in like a minute. So okay, look,
sure,
here's
go on.
another
Sorry.
reference.
Oh, sorry, I didn't know I was interrupting. I'm gonna
No, no,
try to stay quiet. Go on.
no, brother. It's totally okay. Feel free to
Okay.
jump in anytime. I love you as my brother, so it's totally
Thank
okay.
you. I love you
But
too. Yeah.
so look, he in 1907 again. I don't have the scan. I don't have the context where it's worth looking up. He says an extraordinary process of nature, which is exactly what you said in your opening statement. And then in 1908, there's another reference. Just as he creates people as they grow. Okay, so feel free to check that out. He says man was not made from sperm, one being created from another. Okay, etc. So here, look, in 1911, and remember, Noorudin's the Khalifa. He says there's another debate: was the Messiah born without a father or not? And again, I don't have the full reference. I don't have the full context. Feel free to bring that if anyone wants to bring it. Um, he's saying something strange. He was like, "Do we verify the father for all?" Well, what does that mean? We're not exactly sure, right? Then
Hmm.
there's another reference from Tashiz al Azan. Do you know what newspaper this was? This is.
No, no.
It's
But
a new.
I suppose I should make some sort of comment. Like whatever the Quran says, and the Quran seems to clearly suggest that, yeah, it does say that Mary was a virgin when Jesus was born. So that would be incorrect if the first Khalifa said that. That's it, really. That's why I like to stick to the Quran.
Yeah, yeah.
But I
Well,
don't know. I don't know
but
if he said that because I don't know the source. But anyway, yeah.
nevertheless, we got to go through the sources. So here's a look.
Yeah.
In 1917, have you read? Do you know who Mauli Muhammad Ali is?
No, go on, tell me.
What? Brother, he's the most famous Lahori-Ahmadi. He was like the president, he was like the Khalifa of the Lahori-Ahmadis. He wrote a famous commentary. Remember, he worked for Mirza Ghulam and lived in Mirza Ghulam Ahmad's house, was the editor. He was the first editor of the Review of Religions. He knew English, Arabic, and Urdu pretty good. Um, so anyhow, in 1917, he writes his commentary, and he writes this in a roundabout way. He doesn't say it like I said it, like I wrote it, in a roundabout way. In the same year, the Qadiani-Ahmadis responded an essay by Mirza Bashir Ahmad talking about the unusual births. Okay, so he refutes that. Feel free to check that out. It's also again in 1918. In 1921, I got some references, Sirat al-Mahdi, etc., etc. There it is, brother. Okay, so now you want to take some comments? Or you want to take some people? And part two, we'll go back to the beginning and say, where in the Quran and the Hadith does it say that miracles have to be outside the natural occurrence? That'll be part two. Stay tuned. And brother Khalid, what do you want to do? Who do you want to talk to?
I don't know if your connection is dying or something. You keep cutting off. Do you
Oh,
know?
okay. Hopefully it comes back. It seems like we're back. Yeah, it seems like we're
Guys in
back.
the live chat, is Bashir's dying? Bashir's.
Is it? Oh, I don't think it's me. Okay, I think we lost Khalid. Let me add some other guys in the meantime here. Assalamu alaikum, brothers. How's it going?
Walaikum salam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Let me text this. Oh, he's coming back. He's coming back. All right, all right.
Cool.
Okay, okay.
Anyway, we got some new
Oh,
people
yeah.
in the
Okay,
chat. I'm gonna
let me
maneuver it
remove
once.
these guys real quick. Okay, I thought you were gone. I was like, dude, he's gone. He's gone. Okay, so what do you want to do? Do you want to take some
Oh,
or some comments?
okay.
Uh,
Yeah, I mean, I like people talking rather than just chatting, but I mean, I don't want to ignore the live chat people as well. I mean, Sufyan, let's go for it.
So okay,
Sufyan's gone.
let's go to brother
Servant of Allah
Baz
and
Ahmed
Baz
first.
Ahmed.
Brother
Oh,
Baz
Sufyan,
Ahmed,
yeah.
do you have any questions for brother Khalid here?
Assalamu alaikum, brothers. How you doing?
Wa alaikum salam.
Wa alaikum salam. Peace be upon you too. That's like for the English people.
Yeah, and on to you, my son, and on to you.
Sorry, I can't hear you.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I can hear you. Yeah.
Sorry. This discussion about this hermaphrodite thing, wherever this has come from, is this Mirza Tahir's making, or because I've not referenced this before? I know Bashir's been going through references earlier on. I've had a look at a few, but this is mainly a Mirza Tahir invention, is it?
Well, I'm
I've seen it in the 5-volume commentary.
Oh, okay. Well, under what word? Yeah. Yeah. So, brother Khalid, you have the floor, brother. Sorry about that.
Yeah, so I've seen it in the 5-volume commentary. It's also mentioned Christianity, A Journey from Fact to Fiction, which is written by the fourth Caliph, Mirza Tahir Ahmad. Yeah.
Khalid, bro, what I'm asking. So this is basically this has come about from Mirza Tahir Ahmad, not previously, if you know what I mean. Because obviously the first commentary would go back to Maulvi Muhammad Ali, wouldn't it? You know, when obviously during the time of Mirza Ghulam and his companions.
I don't know the whole lineage of the theory, but I'm just I'm mainly concerned about rationality and if it's a rational idea, and if it's against the Quran or not. That's what I'm concerned about.
Well, look. Okay, look. Well. Simply, look. You know, there's when you read the Quran, you know, there's a simple explanation. Maryam alayhi salam, and she's astonished, as me. So you know, this hermaphrodite thing that's pretty much blown out the water. You know,
I don't know how. Can you explain which verse? I mean, I'd love to learn, but can you tell me why it's blown out the water? Maybe I missed it.
Well, look. Surely, if I said to you, brother, you're having a child tomorrow, or you're going to have a child, and you say, well, hang on a minute, I don't have a womb, I can't have sex, or I don't have a penis, or I don't have a womb, how can I have a child? Or I've never had sex, you know, no man has touched me. So it's pretty self-explanatory, really, isn't it?
Okay, so did you see the bit when being hermaphrodite is more common than people realize? Did you see the?
I'm not saying that hermaphrodites don't exist. They've existed probably from, you know, it's a mutation, it's a deformity, and these things have existed. It's an anomaly, isn't it? You know, I mean, they've existed from probably millennia. You know, so I'm not saying they don't exist. Obviously, they exist. They exist in Pakistan.
Is it just me
it's an open
that he's?
before
Is it or
the
my?
before
Do
the
you think it's
Christian.
my connection that's dying? Because he
Hama-
keeps sounding like he's disconnecting.
No, it's
Yeah, yeah,
he's disconnecting.
yeah,
Okay.
brother Boz Ahmed, your connection is sort of messed up. Can you hold on? Let's go to brother Sufyan and see what he's got to say. Brother Sufyan, you have the floor.
Sorry.
Oh yeah. You were breaking up.
1 second. One.
Yeah, let's go to servant of Allah.
I mean, meanwhile, if
yeah.
yeah.
Servant of Allah, brother. Assalamu alaikum. Are you there, brother? Do you have any questions for brother Khalid? Okay, so let's take comments.
I mean, yeah, if you click on a thing in the live chat, but don't let me respond to anything you click from the live chat. So
okay, so,
otherwise they could just be insulting me or something, and I should like to respond, isn't it?
Sounds good. Servant of Allah, brother, you have the floor for a respectable question.
Oh,
Walaikum assalam, rahmatullah.
Assalamu alaikum.
You hear me, brother?
I can hear you clearly, thank you.
Yeah. What is stream about, though, brother Bashir?
Oh, okay. I thought you've been here the whole time.
No.
We're basically talking about miracles and the Qadiani-Ahmadi belief and the Lahori-Ahmadi belief is a different, opposed, actually polar opposites, seems like. And the Islamic position also seems to be polar opposites. So based on all that, do you have a question for brother Khalid?
Okay. So you don't believe in miracle, right?
No, I do believe in miracles. Just our definitions are different. Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
So my question is there anything in the Quran that says a miracle is outside the laws of God or the laws of nature?
Well, naturally, if you read the Quran speak about miracle. You got to understand what is a miracle. A miracle is something supernatural that only can come.
That's your definition. I'm talking about the Quran's definition.
A miracle is something that come only from God, from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Human beings can't do miracle by themselves. He only had to come by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Like in Surah Qamar, verse 1, Allah mentioned that the hour has come near and the moon has split in two.
Of the moon.
Yeah, the moon has split in two. And this moon splitting is throughout history, is mutawatir, is one of the most chain of narration. Nobody could doubt it. Nobody, even the disbeliever, everybody.
I don't doubt it. I'm just saying
so
that the verse go on. Sorry, I'll stop interrupting. Sorry, go on, carry on.
That is a supernatural. That is something what no man can do by his own. That only from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You see what I mean?
Okay, so I didn't want to interrupt. So I know that verse of the Quran. It didn't mention anything about being supernatural. See, I like to be precise, okay, and I like that you're quoting from the Quran because not enough people seem to be doing that. So can you tell me where in that is that beyond the laws of nature? And I totally agree with you that human beings don't do the miracles. Allah, or maybe Allah uses human beings, like the staff of Moses, when it turned into a snake and things like that. It wasn't Moses who was aware of how it worked. It's Allah who made it happen. So I agree with you, but what I'm trying to understand from you is, how do we know it's outside the law of nature? Because that's all I'm saying. I would say that since Allah is the best of planners, he could have predicted way into the future what miracles could possibly be useful, because he's the best of planners, right? Okay, yeah. And he could have built it into the laws of nature. I like to respect Allah enough to think he can plan everything in advance, and so it could easily be within the law of nature. What I'm asking you is, which verse of the Quran says that it's not in the laws of nature? A miracle is not in the law of nature.
Well, the Quran is not a book of science, or is not a book like what you want it to be. As the Quran is a word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Understand?
Yes.
He's not gonna tell you the laws of nature and teach you something like, well, how to do this or how to do that or how this gonna happen. You understand?
Yes, he doesn't.
Because
Go,
brother, what you
yeah.
using something like something like you talking out of your own desire, like you were thinking this, like you're using like philosophy. And Quran and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Islam, we don't use philosophy to explain certain things because that what the missionaries them do, that what the Christian them do. You understand? We believe what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in the Quran. We believe every word. If
I
Allah
believe
subhanahu
every
wa
word.
ta'ala,
Yeah.
if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say that the sea was split, Musa split the sea, we believe that. We don't go
Me
into it
too.
and say how. We don't do it how. Because from the time when you say how, shaitan start to come in you and put all kind of thoughts inside of you. We don't do how. When Allah says something happen, we accept it wholeheartedly. We say Samaina wa Atana. We hear and we obey. We believe. You understand? When Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam mentions something, we believe in it blindly. We don't have to question Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam because he is not like any other human being. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent him to explain Islam to us, to teach us the religion. Um, I heard you say on the other stream about the Bashir one day, I was trying to join that we say when you explain the Quran, you have a book like from Mirza Ghulam himself, he get wahi. That what we get to understand that there on the stream yesterday that the companions them that the early Muslim they make mistake in interpreting the Quran. So Allah sent wahi revelation to Mirza Ghulam and he interpreted the Quran. You see what I mean?
So I'm trying to understand what you're saying. So Allah helped Mirza Ghulam Muhammad understand the Quran.
That
Is
was
that what you're saying?
the Qadianis.
No, but like, I mean, okay, are you saying our claim is Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, the Promised Messiah we believe, was guided by Allah to understand the Quran better? Is that what you're Is that what
Yes,
you're
yes,
saying? Is that your
yes,
question?
yes.
You're saying, is that true? Yeah, I think,
No, no, I mean I said that true. I'm asking you if that is true.
yeah, I would say it is Allah who helps everybody understand anything. So yes,
No,
I
not
think
not
even
help.
in science or
I'm
anything,
not.
Allah helps people. Yeah.
No, I'm not saying help. He say Allah sent wahi, revelation, wahi
Okay.
from Allah that He interpret the Quran.
Okay, fine. Allah does talk now, then, like He ever always talked. Allah is not incapable of talking, so I don't see the
Yeah,
problem with that.
yeah, but brother, you got to understand. At
Yeah.
the death of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, at the Islam
So
was complete. He
maybe
Allah
there's some
already.
misunderstanding in terms. What do you mean by wahi? And then we would, because if you were using Arabic terms, let's clarify
Yeah.
what you're talking about.
Well, wahi, that like revelation, right? And the revelation can come in many ways. It can come in a dream. It can come in different ways, right? So
Sure.
good. So if Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he already explained the Quran to his companions. Allah subhanahu wa taala before that Jibreel alayhi salam come and went through the Quran, everything, the meaning, everything. He teach Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He explained that to his companions, and his companions understand that. And that was from that they pass it on to us, right? So how for the from the in till in the 19th century, one man come from Qadian claiming to be a prophet, claiming to be he interpret the Quran that Allah give him wahi. You understand? So
So I'm trying
how
to understand the
why
problem in the
the
question. Yeah,
thing
go
is
on.
why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gonna send another prophet when Islam is complete?
I feel like
Everything
you're
we
asking
need to
lots of different
everything we need
questions.
to know. Everything.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that.
Should I answer? I'm going to attempt to break down your question and answer different bits of it. Is that all right?
Yeah, well, I just muted him because he was going to another topic. Sorry about that, brother
Okay.
servant of Allah, brother Khalid. Did you? I hope you have figure out what he's asking, and you can
Yeah,
answer.
so I'm okay with talking about anything just to make it easier for people to ask questions, but I felt like he was saying a lot of different things. I don't mind answering them. So I think one was like, how can we possibly learn anything new from the Quran that has not been commented or explained already? I think that was a question, right? And my answer is, in the Quran it says that even if we turned all the water in the seas into ink, even then we wouldn't be able to finish all the possible meanings, right? So like at the moment, if you looked at any commentary of the Quran or explanation of the Quran, let's say it might fill up a few shelves, let's just say, right? All the commentaries we have on the planet, we put them all together so there's no overlap, maybe a few shelves. That is not sea full of commentaries. Do you know what I mean? So there are a lot more possibilities. Where are those possibilities? Where are they going to come from? Who are they going to come from if we've only got no inspiration from God? So if God inspires us to learn more, that would be consistent with that teaching, that verse of the Quran, that there are essentially unlimited meanings to the Quran. You can't make up meanings, but Allah can inspire us. Allah doesn't stop talking. There's a verse of the Quran that says, if you're a servant of Allah, okay, we can get the references if people don't know it, right? Then Allah will guide you. Allah listens to you and responds to you and guides you. So Allah is not incapable of talking. That's an insult to Allah. So we can always be guided and inspired by Allah. I think even I'm an entrepreneur. I think all the inspiration for ideas, even non-religious ideas, they're from Allah. They're all from, everything's from Allah.
Yeah, so let's we're down to 5 minutes. Let's go to brother Sasha Lang. I don't know if he's an Ahmadi or ex-Ahmadi or just a Muslim who came across Ahmadiyya, but brother, you have the floor. Feel free to ask a respectable question to Brother Khalid.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, no, I'm not an Ahmadi. I'm not sure whether I have to ask a specific question to
any question.
Well, see, can you talk about Brother Khalid is asking, is there anything in the Quran that says miracles cannot be explained or happen in the natural ways, and that's what we're working on?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah.
No, this is the wrong approach, because you already have the apparent meaning that there are miracles. So you have to prove that in the Quran it says that all miracles are under the law of nature. You have to turn it around, because this is a false approach from your side, because Allah wouldn't send prophets, then he would send scientists. Scientists discover something new, which was not discovered. But prophets, they are given signs which are unique. So this definition from your side is just the made-up definition. This is a wrong approach. And not ask for you have to prove that Allah, when he talks about miracles, that is under the law of nature.
Yes, sounds good. Yeah, let me just stop you there. Brother Khalid got it. Brother Khalid, feel free to respond, and I've muted everyone.
Sure. Okay, so you're making a claim that I have to assume I'm wrong until I prove myself right, and I could say the same to you. You've made a claim that the miracles are outside the laws of nature, and I could say you're the one who have to explain, because you're the one who's making the claim. Like, where are you getting this from? So I'm very simple. I just like logic. Okay, if somebody can prove something to me, I can agree. So just prove it to me. So you made a claim that I am looking at the wrong way around, but I could say the same back to you. So I think it's not a strong enough argument to say that I'm wrong and you're right to begin with.
Sounds good. And we're down to 2 minutes. And Brother Mick Ball, you have the floor for a respectable question.
Hello, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Just I'll be very quick. Brother Khalid, my question is 2 parts. First part, I just want to say a few of the statements which I've understood as part of the Ahmadi Aqidah. I want to qualify them and then I'll ask the question. Can I do that?
Yes, please.
Okay, you believe that you believe that Mirza Ghulam Ahmad is the Messiah, the second coming of Eisa?
Yes.
Then you believe him at the same time that he's the Mahdi, means that he is Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam incarnation, spiritual incarnation the second time. Is that right?
Yes, yes.
Okay, okay,
Second, yeah,
okay.
fine, yeah.
You
I don't know about
you believe,
incarnation, but yeah, I like second
oh,
spiritual. Yeah, fine. I don't want to split hairs. Go on. Yeah.
okay, okay, okay. Then you believe that he was that Jesus was buried in Kashmir,
Yes, yes.
and you believe that the fact that the rest of the Sunni world and Shia Islam, whatever they are not on these aqidas, but the righteous predecessors, the Sahabas and the Prophet, were on this aqidah. You believe that?
Yes, I do. I do.
Okay,
Yes.
okay. These are very emphatic statements. Do you have a concrete, uh, with a concrete set of narrations which can prove beyond a doubt that these statements said by anyone in the first 200 years of Islam altogether?
Yeah, the Quran says it very clearly. It says all prophets
Again,
have
you
died from.
listen.
Yes.
Sorry about that. I thought he was sort of like talking over you. Should I unmute him?
I mean, it's just the Quran is our main source. It is the time of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So why isn't that a relevant source? Carry on, Iqbal.
Yeah. So I'm sorry, but I was correcting myself. I'm saying a clear statement from the Prophet, because he completed our religion for us, and he even, like, went to the extent on Hajjatul Wida, his last sermon, to even go and tell about animal rights also. He was that precise in his explanation and making the deen clear. So these three statements, which no one in the history of Islam has ever professed, anyone even with the major tafasir also came to this inference which you are making or your Jamaat is making. Please demonstrate if this was their Aqidah. Any of the Sahabas in the 200 years of Islam, the best period, according to you Ahmadis also, said these statements all together and said that you have to believe this. Not a natural inference of the Quran, but an emphatic statement that this is your Aqidah. You have to carry on this belief and do not deviate. You will be on deviation if you believe otherwise.
Yeah, so let me just clarify, and Brother Khalid can have the last word. We're over an hour. So he's saying in the history of Islam, in the tafsir books, no one ever took it out of a miracle. No one tried to explain it, et cetera, et cetera. And we can talk about that in part 2. We can go deeper into the tafsir books, but that's what he's asking, and you have the final word.
But can I then answer?
He's asking about the death of Jesus or miracles?
I thought he was asking about
Brother
Iqbal, can you explain one more time?
Yeah, sure, no problem. I'm saying these statements are very specific to the Ahmadi Aqidah. He said that it is that Jesus' second coming will be a different person. Second is Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam saying that I will come back in a spiritual second coming, and that Jesus died because this predates Jesus' death, even according to the Ahmadis, predates Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam's coming. Okay, so
yeah, but brother, sorry to interrupt you. That's a bit off topic. We're here specifically to focus on one topic.
No, I'm saying, okay. Well, if the miracle thing, he said that he's open to answering anything. So I was just asking.
Yeah, I did, but maybe we're getting mixed. I don't know. I'm happy to answer it, but this is your stream. I'd like you to be in charge.
Yeah, let's stick to the birth of Isa last one.
Brother Bashi, can I just respond to Khalid, because I
think we're going to go on forever.
But Iqbal, I don't want to cut you off.
No, I keep it brief,
just to respond. Yeah. So because he told me he can give it me back, actually you cannot, because the Quran is talking about a lot of miracles. The table when
Jesus, the last Lamb, and the final supper, chapter 5,
and many things. Sorry. And the ahadith, and from there you can just see these are miracles, no one questioned them, and you can understand them as miracles. It's the same like the narrations of finality of prophets and Jesus coming back. If you have something clear, you cannot just turn around and demand different evidences. That's why I told you have to bring an evidence, because the evidence is on our side. The Quran is talking, when it talks about prophets, all prophets nearly have made miracles. For example, the red camel and whatnot. So Islam is full of miracles. Otherwise, they wouldn't believe the prophets. This was my case. Therefore, you have to claim. You cannot say, please bring me a chemical formula from the Quran. This is not how it works. But I had a
Yeah, sounds good. So, I'm sorry to cut you, but yeah, he's asking the same question again. Feel free to answer or not answer. Give the final word, and we'll end it.
Sure. I think rather than repeat myself, I should just to, I don't know, maybe clarify somehow that we agree that those miracles existed. All I'm just saying is there's no harm in trying to see if there's a scientific explanation for them. That's all. That's fine. And the Quran doesn't stop you from doing it. And nobody's given me a verse particularly. And I do believe the Quran is a perfect book. So we should rely on the Quran and assume it is a perfect book and it can answer all our questions. So that's what I'd like to say.
Sounds good, Brother Khalid. You've explained yourself perfectly. That is the Ahmadi position. There's no doubt in that. The Ahmadi position is that all miracles are explained by them in a natural way.
It can be explained, but like there's like the moon splitting, we don't know yet. We have some other theories.
You know, Mirza Ahmad called it an eclipse.
Okay, maybe, but what I've listened to from myself, from the fourth Khalifa, who takes it from Mirza Ahmad and his predecessors. I don't remember that theory, but maybe it's one of the theories. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, the Ahmadi belief is to explain all the miracles in a scientific way, whereas the Islamic, we don't even venture. We just say Allah knows best, and we leave it. And Khalid explained his position. It's a possibility that per the Qadiani-Ahmadis that Maryam was a hermaphrodite. I'm saying there's more in between the lines there that call it more than a possibility. In between the lines, Mirza Tahir Ahmad is saying this is the theory, and he even said it with asexuals and Adam alayhi salam. There's other things he said that are connected. Feel free to check that out. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for coming today. You see my brother here, Khalid. Everyone respected him today. I even muted some brothers when I felt like they were going in circles. Utmost respect. And ladies and gentlemen, that is all. Assalamu alaikum and peace out.
Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum.